Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Sir Stephen Topham Hatt the Third, at your service. Now we're going to talk about something very serious here. It's understanding the principles of social waste coming back as we are, and understanding what is a need and what is a want, etc., going down the line. Anyway, I want to refer something to you. I know the Norfolk Railway PLC Facebook page has been 16 hours ago, um, said get involved, be a volunteer. I advise you not to, because if you try and volunteer up there, they will just boot you out. Then you will see how bad the railway has gotten over the years, for the last 5 years. So realistically, when you volunteer, right, normally if you had the steam team, as we call ourselves, right, when we tell you get involved, do not get involved. That's their head word, right? That's a load of BS from the Norfolk Railway themselves. It's not me personally, but if it came from me directly, I would tell you face to face, not on the internet, nothing. I would tell you in your face directly, right? Which I normally wanted to do, but 16 hours later, which I'm looking at the article saying, get involved, we get excited for new couple volunteering events coming up in June, which is a load of bullshit to my point, because you can volunteer whenever you want, but I don't want you to feel uncomfortable up there, feeling why you got your track safety test, which is normal, then then what the Norfolk Railway did in 2019, this is where it floats back to that, because then it just gives you the bad egg, bad Easter egg, whatever, etc., acknowledging that, okay, we've got to start being realistic, right? If you want to volunteer up there, right, don't. It's a closed door policy for it. I I want you to volunteer without getting booted, right? I want you to feel comfortable up there. I don't want your weaknesses to over what I'm trying to establish. If they find weaknesses in you as personal male or female, doesn't matter who applies for the actual application, it's not the track safety test, it's the other, it's the management or the people that are running it. I'm establishing to you, right? Volunteering up there at the Norfolk Railway is a load. At the moment, it's a load of beeswax because I'm not on the premises. If I was on the premises, I will make sure you get well treated, well respected, etc. But there's a fine line why people are avoiding it. I want you to realise the Norfolk Railway PLC, which I don't acknowledge anymore. I call it the Northwestern Railway Company, the Northwestern Railway. That's what I call it, right? I don't put PLC or LTD in because it doesn't approve of it, right? So when they acknowledge to you in public, to the public or the community, they say get involved. We say no. Think. If you read what or acknowledge where I'm coming from, right, you will find out you will have a bad treatment, right? They will test you for the track safety test, so you get on the platform. Don't get me wrong. Then they will acknowledge of your strengths and weaknesses, and they will take the advantage of your weaknesses, and then your strengths will be thrown out the window. They don't give a shit if you don't, right? If you volunteer up there today, or any day, or every month, or every year, what does it? It's a liberty to say no. The volunteer department at this moment has lost its respect, right? When people sign sign up to become a volunteer up there, there we always put your strengths first, right? We acknowledge that you need respect, you need a bit of honesty, and you need trust. The trust is gone, right? So acknowledge that. So when they tell you get involved, get involved, get involved, what do they try to tell you? A load of BS, because the BS is in the description. I read between the lines. I don't bullshit, right? So when I read it forward, read it between the lines, and I read it in reverse. And I acknowledge to you, do not volunteer at the North Norfolk Railway. It's not an option, it's an option, but I'm advising you, they will take advantage of your weaknesses. They don't acknowledge your strengths and actually say, look, okay, this is how all my fleet, let's say the fleet or the fleet in general, at the time in 2019 got booted out because they turned their strengths into their weaknesses. So look at the people that won it in 2019. Are they giving you respect? The answer is no, because you're not seeing the bigger picture involved, right? People that are in want to volunteer up there or want to be an employee up there, the first thing they will do, they will look at your strengths and weaknesses and they will use your weaknesses against you, because they don't give a damn about your strengths. They care about your weaknesses and turn them into strengths, but they can't, because there's some people that have a lot of what you call principles. My grandfather would not allow it today if he was alive. I advise you not to volunteer at the North Norfolk Railway. If they ask you to get involved, you need to ask yourself, what is the catch? It's not about the headline, it's about understanding what goes on in that building. That's why people get pissed off. They get rattled. They get when people get booted out or get realise what they're doing is wrong. It's the wrong move. It's first of all, if I was up there, I would say, right, I would tell every management they are fired, because the thing is, the principles of understanding this is understand people's disabilities is one. If they've been discriminated in 2019, that shows you they don't give a shit about you. All they care about is the money. So when they say get involved, all they care about is the money factor, right? When people volunteer up there, they're not doing it for money. They're doing it because it's their free time to use up to able to achieve a goal they be able to achieve. But if there's something in the barrier that you may not notice, that's it. What do you expect? Disrespect, dishonesty, and then you get booted out. And they don't give a shit of what your strengths or weaknesses are, right? So then you get tossed to the side like any any empty trucks, if you will, and acknowledge that, okay, let's just say, right, these people broke the barrier, right? The North Norfolk Railway, the name itself, it's dishonest in that building. You're not going to gain anything to go forward. Just immediately understand, why are they asking now to get asking people to get involved? Question. And the answer is they're desperate. They feel like they are want to be apologetic. I said the apology has to come directly from them because they screwed everything up. So when you realise there's stage one, stage two, and stage three, right? Stage one, they booted everyone out in 2019. Stage two, they fucked up. Excuse my language, but that's what it's done. Stage three, I'm here to clear it all up once and for all. But they don't acknowledge people's strengths and weaknesses and care about the community. No, they don't. They care about the money factor. When the money is on their heads, the first thing is when they wake up in the morning and establish, right, they're managing themselves, should have thought, yes, we screwed up, we fucked up. And they know they fucked up and they won't sort it out. So what do? They beg for mercy. They're asking for support. They want acknowledgement. They want volunteers. Are they going to get it? No. The more you volunteer up there, the more they turn your strengths into your own weaknesses. So they will use your weaknesses as their main goal because they don't give a damn. All they care about is the money factor, right? The volunteers that really do become really useful, boom, what happens? When people say, get involved, right? Would you get involved in the North Norfolk Railway as an organisation? Would you get involved? There's no changes besides bad management makes a bad company or organisation. We establish that. So what happens? Right? So there's a prime goal of understanding the principles before you can even let anyone on that platform. Right? The community's backing off. Why is that? They don't want to get involved with the North Norfolk Railway. They see it as an empty shell. They see it as an empty course to, recreate things or re-establish and establish that what they've done wrong in stage one department. They've messed up in stage two completely out. They didn't even care about the volunteers. So example, for 1,000 volunteers that got booted out could have stayed in and acknowledged that stage one they completely fucked up. Excuse my language, but it's what you see is what you get. Right? You're gonna have what you're gonna say to yourself. You need to start realizing why they're getting cocky now or starting begging or asking people to get what they want or establish the principles of understanding you've got to put things right there. But nobody will ever put it right because they know how bad the railways got ever since they booted everyone else out. So that message is gone all the way global. It's not just going to hit one person. It's going to hit 8 billion people against the North Norfolk Railway. That's the biggest hit. Why? What the North Norfolk Railway don't know is that the North Western Railway is us. We are the controllers. We are the respectful people. We're not a bad people. We just got principles of understanding how to use the community wisely without bashing everyone out. Right? All those people that worked for the North Norfolk Railway, past tense wise, established what? Yep, they will figure it out for themselves. They will get intelligent. Right? The intelligent people will work out quicker than the same quickness as I would. And acknowledge that the people with disabilities, it doesn't, right, get booted out. People that work hard, they get booted out. Why? It doesn't matter how much the North Norfolk Railway appreciates their skills, their determination, and work hard. We work hard to the bottom. I just think you It feels like the North Norfolk Railway is total blank. It's like formatting their hard drives out. Format their complete computers out. Why? Because they don't deserve nothing. In the end of the day, it's called respect. People that worked there previously didn't get justice. They didn't get the respect they need. They're people that'll do a lot more better job than anybody else. Right? The second gen teaches the third gen. The third gen teaches the fourth gen. The fourth gen teaches the fifth gen. Why? It's not just our families that make us who we are. That's another principle. Why we stand together as a whole. You do not discriminate your own family and kick them all out. As an example. Not my fault, but I add. This is all to do with Hugh Harkett and all his cronies. What you call the diesel team. Right? You basically got the diesel team right on the premises right now. And I can't do nothing for you. I'm basically sitting down waiting for that moment to kick some ass. You know, not physically, but verbally, because that's all they can understand is verbal. Why? Business is business. Right? They want it as a business. Now they've got somebody more powerful than them. Somebody that's got a higher up that can knock them out and say, you're out. Why? It may be playing out the correct way. You see, a lot of people will say, I still have to obey the law, as they say, but the thing is, the principles are already written in black and white. Always do your homework before you come home. Why is that? Now, that's another thing that says, do your homework before you jump off a cliff. Right? People said, what does happen when good things come to you, you fuck them up. Right? When good things come to you, you screw it up. Why? Ask yourself a good question. Everybody should understand this by now, right? Good things that come to you, you screw up and fuck them over. Excuse my language. But it's a fact among others. When people look at you, do you actually realise how stupid the North Norfolk Railway are begging for mercy for volunteers? Why? Guilty conscience. They can't really. They screwed up what they can't fix now because they've got one more person to deal with to correct the problem. They can't make. They have to make me move forward. Obviously, it's their problem. They screwed it up. They try to fix it, but I already fixed it for them before they even jump off the cliff. Right? Everybody that works at the North Norfolk Railway is is doomed to have a problem. Why? Because there's a bigger problem. And acknowledges the fact there is in the Marines that people don't get it. When 8 billion people know about this in different languages, tongues, you name it, and acknowledge the fact that there is no wrongs, but the fact is you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then people ask, why did the Norfolk Railway mess up? Ask yourself a question. The answer is already in your minds, but you can't work it out at the moment. Right? Re-establish that there is a big problem. Re-establish that the principles come first, above all else. Re-establish there is a bigger problem up there. They're getting mercifully now, saying, we want volunteers, we want volunteers, we want you to get involved. I said, don't get involved. You're playing with fire. Now, how do you realise that you've got myself that's telling you the correct way, not the wrong way. Establish yourself why I'm telling you not to get involved at this present time. It's very, very delicate, right? Be wary, it is very delicate, yes. But we also have to establish that there's a lot of wrongs in the whites, and a lot of it is all there black and white, right? Right? There's a lot of things that you may not understand at this present time. The principles, right? Correct things, some don't, some do. Right? When good things happen, you screw up. This is the North Norfolk Railway's fault, which is the North Western Railway upside down. Get it in your heads. It's like a, it's like somebody's telling you there's a lot of logic and truth to this, and the North Norfolk Railway are asking for mercy. They said get in, go, volunteering, blah blah blah. I said don't bother, go to Orstad/Norwich, for example, because all they asking you is for volunteers, and they screwed up by booting out the previous gens. So what did they do? They screwed up, they messed up, so they stuck in the middle right now, and they can't fix their own problem because the problem has already been fixed by me directly, right? So that my problem was fixed, but they can't fix it anymore because they already lost. They lost the battle. The principles basically are thrown out the window. Why? The principles are the foundation of what should how it playing out. When people ask where is this all going? Where is all going? Where is it all coming from? Where are the knowledge is coming from? From various people around the globe. I'm not going to mention no names, but there's private connections everywhere telling me this. Acknowledge that you have to accept that the North Norfolk Railway is a failure. So when the North Norfolk Railway boots out everybody when they shouldn't done, right? The diesel team, who I will not name, right? Who are Kit and his minions, if you like to call it correctly, all knew there was a little problem. Of course, it's a problem that he can't solve at the time, or did not fully understand that what he was going to boot out could be more higher than him in a longer run. I'm younger, yes, and understandable, yes. Do I actually care about the railway? Yes, but the railway's not doing so well, is it, right now? So they're asking for more volunteers when they already got booted out 1,000. Right? Boot out 1,000 to gain 1,000. Not good. So what happens? People that got disrespected in 2019. This is why Duck's story tells you the full whack story. I don't need to lecture it again. Right? Okay. The diesel team screwed up. They're not going to gain what they have lost. They're not going to put in new volunteers and say, okay, la la la, la la la. They go down the line, as they do. And I'll be watching, eyes and ears everywhere. And I'll be telling them, even yourselves, vice versa. I said the community respects me, but the thing is, when they knew what's going to unfold next, all of the previous generation were waiting. Now you got your result. The North Norfolk Railways failed. You have to realistically say it has to travel under a new name, fresh start, get rid of the North Norfolk Railway. Not the railway line itself or nothing like that, or the stations or anything like that. The name North Norfolk Railway is not going to help them no more. They think they want volunteers right now? No. The answer lies from within. So when people do start to volunteer again, All they're going to do is get the track safety test done, which is true, and they will then get tested for strengths and weaknesses. Then the people that are already working there as a management, they will say, right, we're going to push you to your limits and we're going to see what you're good at. Ding, 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 ding. Right? People don't get the respect like they used to. So what happens with people that get disrespected? Then people get involved, a lot of them try and stand up for their own. Right? I'll give you an example, right? Why I go to principles, why I go for understanding, why I understand principles. Right? I would never, never kick anybody out of that railway. It doesn't care how old you are or how this. You know what I mean? It's just like saying, yeah, well, 2019, I started. Right? I told everybody that be prepared because what happened after that year was a total blow up in the North Norfolk Railway smack in the middle. Right? The only thing is the principles of understanding is to make sure that you get the message quite clear, crystal, and understand. Look, you need this to gain this back. You're gonna have to earn it. The North Norfolk Railway's not gonna earn it like on Facebook, like or a Twitter account like they normally have, and they're going blah 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 blah. We say, but they're not. So when they ask you to get involved, don't get involved. Because once you start volunteering up there, you're going to get disrespected as time goes on. If you feel like the reviews they have, as example, right? Let's talk about their reviews, right? Because I do check their reviews every day. Right, since April this year, right, a lot of people say, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. So let me tell you something. It's a load of BS, number one. And number two, it's a load of hockey pock. Basically, to understand the railway, especially when a lot of people do understand it, it's say, try it for a week, try it for a month, try it for a year, and see how you react. It's like a different type of page after all. Then what's the results get? They're rating it 4.7 when it's a load of BS, right? It's not about when you go on that platform, you're gonna gain their trust and honesty and respect so quickly, right? The thing before the thing. I said you got the fat man. Obviously, you got me, but then you're gonna have to ask the big question on yourselves: is it really worth going on it if it's already rated at 4.7 when it isn't? Somebody is lying on Facebook. Somebody is lying on Google, for example, right? Past reviews of the the North Norfolk Railway have been positive because you had the second gen on the railway. After 2019, it went bad, 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 and worse. Why? Then somebody on Google, or I would say, or even on Facebook, are trying to delete all your bad comments to try to keep a good name. I said it's not about the name anymore. It's not about the good reputation. It's you. It's you that's got that problem, right? It's not the community's fault. It's the volunteers' fault, or the management, or the staff that are running it. They're not waking up and smelling the coffee and realise how can we correct a problem like that when we booted out. Let's say you guys come in and you looked at the place and you said, "Where's the volunteers? Where are the volunteers? Did you get the memo? They've been booted out, thousands of them. So work it out." So before you can even get on that platform, let's just say you're a new cadet or a new volunteer that wants to join, and you start asking questions, just like me, to get the answers, right? They will lie, but I'll be honest with you, right? I told you from the beginning, right? there is always be a correct answer. The Norfolk Railway won't give you it because they just throw the book at you. Right? They tell you to piss off or something like that. Right? They don't have to say it. They do it by body language. Right? I established by eye contact as well. So I know who the liars are, who's telling the truth, who's been nice, who's been correction, and understand everything that's been put in place. I acknowledge that you want this and you want to make this very popular again, but you can't because you have to start from the beginning again to refresh it, to reboot it. But you can't reboot it unless I'm not without me on the platform. You can't get you can't get yourselves fully rebooted, could you? So establish yourself. I was the last one near enough that got booted out for obvious reasons, right? I won't go into my details. And acknowledge that the diesel team got what they flaming wanted. Boot out everybody else. In 2019, we always established that. Just listen to Duck's story. It tells you the full whack. Why and where and when. It doesn't matter. The story unfolded in front of your eyes and you won't grasp on it and you won't pick up on it. And I said, wake up, smell the coffee and start realizing they're using that as a false pretense right now because they are desperate. They made a mess up. So work it out. You had volunteers. Doesn't matter if they were disabled or not. It's still discrimination. Number one. Number two. In any eyesight, always be observant to understand. A lot of people go to arm's length to try and recorrect your problems, but no one can't. Why? Now you've got a fat controller that's watching you day after day. Oh, yes, I am watching you. And it's not a funny games, right? You can't just, as example, I tell you now, I'll be honest. When they booted all of us out, they screwed up everything that's in the middle. So what happens in the middle? New employees come on the line, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they haven't done nothing wrong as such. Use your eyes. Did you use your eyes? No. Did you feel like you were there to serve, which you are? You're giving the customers what they needed, don't get me wrong. Then you started to click, click, click in your mind. Right? The management at the time was very bad. And I'm not saying it was your fault directly or anybody else's. Establish that you got one hell of a bloody problem there. You want volunteers? I'm telling them not to go on it because if if people go on there, are they going to gain respect? The answer is no, because they don't know which way it's the management or the staff or the voluntary manager at the time says, "Oh, do you want to become a volunteer?" Blah blah blah, and you sign in, and then you work it out in your mind. Probably from a few years from now, they will be testing you. Right? People, strengths and weaknesses are very high key. Right? It's not just the principles. People have to look to realize, is this going to be a comfortable place? And the answer is no. Because the thing what you will see is feel like, how could we fit in if you had this problem in the first place? They will backtrack your history. Why? Mistakes made. Mistakes didn't get corrected. It's been 5 years and they're still stuck in the middle and they can't get out. Why? Let me put this in perspective. The diesel team wants you to fail. Right? They want you to screw up. They want you to be useless. They want you to be a pain in the ass. They want you to be booted out. That's how they try to do it. Right? The steam team will respect you. And when the people respect you, even I would respect you. But the thing is, without the eye contact or face to face contact, and they keep in contact in certain ways, we're not going to acknowledge that. So the North Norfolk Railway lost something very precious. So work it out. You're all going on there, right? Driving those trains, DMUs, and working it out in your mind, and then bang, you're after something, or you need something, right? It's not a wanty, it's a needy, right? Not everything comes in straight away. We know that. But when you see myself or my mother or whatever, right? I need all the employees. The manager are gonna get all the management will get kicked out, one by one by one. Why? Because bad management makes a bad railway. Because you're not acknowledging the facts are already in front of you to establish that. You have to put yourself in the management's shoes to know how to recorrect the problem without having to go through all the details. So you need to understand, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, understand this, I can understand why we need to clear it up. It's establishing that, like, you see, it's a bit like telling Duck's story part two again, isn't it? Near enough. So all the staff, watch out. Because in the day, the principles of understanding, the key element, is not what you see, it's what you get that actually respects you. Sometimes you don't know if the management are really going to kick off, which they will do. They will eventually kick off because let's say the diesel team have a way of teaching the younger generation that of administration team, right? So they will screw up and they will fuck you up, excuse my language, but it's going backwards again. So it goes back all the way to 2019, but instead of 2019, add another 5 years. What happens? Ding, ding, everything reverses. So what happens? In 2000, what was 2019? So you got, right, we're in 2024, right? So you've gone forward, you've gone from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Right? That's the year that we are in now. Now, add another 5 years or less. The North Norfolk Railway failed because they were stuck. They are stuck today as they are stuck in 2019. Why? Right, some of my staff that I used to work with in my time, right, we're not talking about too far ahead, right? We acknowledge people's strengths and weaknesses, right? The diesel team just came into play and start kicking out everybody, right? Weakness, strengths, turning them into their weaknesses and making backaches, sore aches, and it's basically watching the trucks getting broken, basically. Acknowledge that. So what happens? When they all got booted out, they're effectively telling everybody, la la la, bang, right? Duck, obviously, came to rescue and save a little bit of my employees, volunteers, saying this and saying he's innocent, that everything is innocent, we all innocent, we've not done anything wrong. It was a load of BS, it was a lot of rumours, there were a lot of spikes. This is why the diesel team wanted us all out. Now, imagine, right, have anybody got a drill what's going to happen next? I don't think you all understand because it's all going in your head thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Right, let me put this in perspective for you. There is a big understanding of these principles, the reason why it's played out the way it should, and you lot are not all seeing it because you all got this, and this to do, and you got that to do. Right? Did I mention in the last two podcasts ago that Emily Helen Hatt is the last fat controller on the North Norfolk Railway? And the answer is yes. Why is that? Right? Richard will do it for 2 years, but that is like my son forward slash stepson. Now work it all out in your mind. What is screwed up at the North Norfolk Railway to make it so bad as it is now, and it will be nearly, let's just say, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years and now, 5 years from now, you all screwed up. Right? A lot of people have respect for that railway as before 2019 and 2016, something like that, and acknowledge that everything was working fine, acknowledging this, acknowledging that, right? And a lot of people said, we are, right, I'm not going to be blunt, right? 8 billion, billion, not million, billion, B. When 8 billion people go against the North Norfolk Railway, they end up tarnished. Why? You have 8 billion people against you. But there's a flaw. People understand the value of respect when it was given. Now they're saying, no, you don't deserve that respect. Right? Everybody in the middle are confused, don't know what to do. They ask you, right? The North Norfolk Railway's begging for mercy, begging for volunteers. I said, you don't deserve any volunteers at this moment. Why? It took a lot of guts to tell you can't have no volunteers on there because you're treating yourself as a business. You can't have it both ways. And I discuss this with other people, right? There's a fine boundary of knowing when people did good jobs, they ending up saying, "Oh, you can volunteer on there, la 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 la." So let me tell you something, BS that, and start thinking straight. There's other organisations around that can support voluntary status, right? When you want something that's needy, you can't have it both ways because normally when somebody goes up on that platform, they're taking a risk. Do you know why? I'm telling you there shouldn't be no more volunteers up there. Why? Because people want it as a business, right? I acknowledge that I need volunteers. I'm not saying there's no dispute, but there's a fine line with all of this going backwards, 2019. I will make sure nobody forgets it. Why? Because 2019 was telling you lost. Because the diesel team jumped in, and the people that were booted out was my personal private team, and established I got a third generation safeguarded from the North Norfolk Railway, and telling them to you can't have no more volunteers, you can't have no more staff, you can't have nothing. Why? Because they've been selfish. So the diesel team, right, screwed up nearly 5 years of their service. It doesn't matter if it was a problem in between, it doesn't matter. When they rebooted and restarted and continue, they were continuing where they left off. When you acknowledge that they are begging for mercy, they are asking you for forgiveness, they are asking you for support, uh, uh, you lot have to say no, close the door. Because when they tell you to get involved, I thought, hell no. No, because the last time they booted out 1,000 volunteers, what do you think they gained out of it? Nothing. Just disrespect. And the people that were victimized on top, right, even if they haven't done nothing wrong physically or verbally wrong, bang. Why? A lot of people think they are in charge. No. The thing about the thing before the thing is where it counts. Right? So when I was on the platform myself, watching this, witnessing it all, do you think their webcam was can support their bloody needs? No, they didn't, because they switched them off. So work it out. Webcam were off. There was only one person that was witnessing it, which it was true. My eyes act like they're web cameras. Ding, 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 ding. And so when that comes through, I get the information, I get the intel, and you all nearly ready, right? So the people that I know told me, watch out, watch out, watch out. They didn't have to say it. Their body language tells me, right? You do not discriminate people with disabilities or problems they got or whatever. If they were good at one thing, you don't push them aside and to another thing they weren't able to do. You know, it's like saying, yeah, well, it's like a jack. And why, I'm telling you, why, you need to start at the back and work backwards. Reverse yourself. So what I tell you to do now is a little bit of a procedure that will save the North Norfolk Rugby, but it won't save their reputation because their reputation was already destroyed. So when you got Hoo Ha Kit and all the other bum bums, what happens? Hoo Ha Kit is probably not well. I know that. But when you think of him as Sydney, the blue diesel that we all look up to on Thomas and Friends, right? I established that my role is very important as much as his. So booting, right, let me tell you something why I think there's a lot of discrimination going on. Right? People that know me very well will know I won't cross the line, right? I will not cross that line with the North Norfolk Railway, nor would I ever go against it. But if the diesel team screw up, there are things that could be a value of understanding, disrespect, or whatever. It doesn't matter. The thing before the thing, right? I established that principles have to be maintained to a point. But if you realise that the steam team is on standby, I'm on standby. Why? The diesel team think they got it all and they're silver platters right now. Right? They think they know it all. They screwed up their reputation. Their reputation. Now they're begging for volunteers. Ding, ding, ding. The problem is the boundary has been crossed on their side of the line. Not me, not my colleagues or connections, etc. I said, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's what people can do for you to a certain level. But when you know they've got their own strengths and weaknesses, why test their weaknesses against them? You're not going to gain anything in any principles. The principles make the foundation of everything we stood for. So the North Norfolk Railway fucked themselves up. They can't get any volunteers. They won't get them because the middle piece can't be corrected. So when they screw themselves over, big time style, what do they leave with? Nothing. Because the North Norfolk Railway fucked themselves over. Excuse my French, but it's where the bloody boundary is. Right? They're not going to win over time, over day, or over night, whatever. it's a repair job that's going to take a little while. It's not going to take overnight. When people think they got it, oh, they want volunteers. Well, you're not going to get them because they already you abused the diesel team or the management as well. Forward slash abused the system, and now they're begging for mercy because they want volunteers. I said, don't. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt or benefit of affection to let them have volunteers on the line. Because if they start volunteering, they start to get their strengths, and then the weaknesses come into play. People have strengths and weaknesses for a reason. And a lot of this is really have to be understanding. Very understanding. You have to take, it's like stripping everything down to the basic and build it back up. But you're not, at the moment, the Norfolk Railway are stuck in the middle. Why? Right? People need respect, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to earn it that way so quickly now because they lost it because they booted out 1,000 volunteers. It's like destroying 1,000 engines or volunteer or trucks or rolling stock, anything like that. It's like saying porters and guards get thrown out. Boom, 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 boom. Why you do not get it when it's already unfolded in front of you. So acknowledge. Doc is already aware of this. I am aware of this. My mother is aware of this. And so is everybody else. So work out, where did they screw up? So they're telling you to get involved in something that's not even right. Get your facts in together before you jump off the cliff. Right? I'm now gonna start rattling their cages a bit. Right? Because there's a lot of people that don't know what they're unfolding. By them getting involved, it's not gonna solve a problem overnight. Right? So from 2019 all the way to now, what did they solve? Nothing. Because they can't recorrect it, and they can't recorrect it by advertising for volunteers because they already booted out 1,000 that they didn't acknowledge or they didn't care about or nothing. What they've done is they booted them all out. Who Harkett for slash Sydney. Sydney isn't well right now, and he will recorrect that problem. He has put you in a fucked up position in the middle. Right? The management can't do nothing because they fucked them up. So work it out. So you got two fucked up people. Let's say a fucked up group, a fucked up management, and can't even realise why. Why is why do you think I'm here for? To tell you to do the right thing, but the right thing has to come to you slowly. Right? It's not going to be overnight. Right? You're going to end up losing what you gained, but you already lost it 5 years ago, 5 to 6 years ago, or let's say 2019. And I said, booting us all out in the first place, big mistake. What does the Norfolk Railway do now? They're stuck in the middle. They can't go forward. They can't go back and say, "Oh, we're sorry, we're sorry, we're sorry." We're all gonna throw in their faces saying we don't want your apologies. You've screwed up big time, and people are gonna witness this because they're gonna realise it's already happened and it's already unfolded. So acknowledge Doc's story on top because that tells you everything that happened in 2019. I don't need to tell it again. So Nick, that when we try and pursue forward, you got to accept you lost the volunteers, you lost respect, you lost dignity, you lost this, you lost that. You're not going to gain anything anymore. Why? Because you don't have proof or evidence to say that we are going to acknowledge what we've done wrong, and we're going to acknowledge, right? This is not a game. These are people's lives, right? So when they look forward to you, don't, when people come to you, acknowledge that people make mistakes, right? Big mistakes. Some people in the management make the big mistakes. They've done it bigger and dangerous as anything else, right? So you have to establish you are in the wrong, right? You are in the wrong. The management is in the wrong. They ask you for volunteers now. They won't get them because they fucked up. So acknowledge there is a big hoo-ha. But it isn't a big hoo-ha. It's a big reason why the volunteers won't come to you. Because you're part of the story that's unfolding. So work it out. The Norfolk Railway can't do anything. They screwed themselves up. The principles that I am based upon are never broke. Why? Because I didn't actually do anything wrong on the Norfolk Railway. So I'm innocent, Duck's innocent, all the former employees and volunteers, all innocent. So ask yourself a question. Are they that desperate to get volunteers back on there and feel sorry? No. They will greet you with open arms and then they will screw you over. Until I'm on there, you're not going to get nothing. It's like saying, if you want something, you've got to earn it. I'm not being rude or acknowledging it. It's just that the management has screwed themselves over. The taxi drivers already know about it, and the community is aware of it. I'm not going to let them go in on that premises and let them have their enjoyment at the moment. They're gonna witness how bad the railway's got without acknowledging me to be on the premises at the moment. They are screwing themselves over because they tend to think they won, but they haven't won. So the understanding of the principles is understanding what we are based upon. So when you're understanding the principles, you want principles, you're gonna have to earn it. If you want the volunteers, you're gonna have to earn it. It's not about. It's all about the money factor as well. So you've got to realise the management is messed up. They're asking for volunteers and they screwed up. They have to acknowledge why they screwed up and acknowledge why. I'm sorry for verbal language or anything like that, but it's getting to the point. I said, look, I'm not giving you any BS. So everything that's unfolding at the moment is principles of understanding why. Acknowledge you are in the wrong. Acknowledge that you are basically got something stuck in the middle. And it's not about me. You did something wrong in the past. You try to recorrect now. You can't recorrect it right now. The volunteers, you're begging for them. You're asking, right? You're begging, you're mercing, but you're not recognizing the faults and the mistakes you did before. You're going to end up repeating that pattern. And why? There is a big reason why we don't allow volunteers on the line right now. I know mistakes can happen twice. So if you're not looking at numbers or principles of understanding, why, why, why? Ask yourself a question. The railway isn't completely reasonable enough and understanding. They don't recognise people anymore. They do it for publicity stunts. It's what my father used to do. He used to do everything for a publicity stunt. Right? Same thing with the Norfolk Railway. A publicity stunt. Right? They said, oh, we do this for this, we do this for that. And I said, cut the BS, get to the point, and feel sorry. Because there's no sorries in there. At this moment, you're begging for mercy, begging for volunteers. Acknowledge that we have principles. And if you don't follow those principles, then you're off the rails. Right? When people are off the rails, sometimes you too have to think twice and acknowledge why you screwed up, you messed up. People know everything you're unfolding. So cut the BS, get to the point, and recognise it. Because in the day the North Norfolk Railway won't feel sorry for any of us. Why? Because they think they're just doing their job. I said, no, they're not. So when you had a bad management, that's where it started, bad management. Then you have to recognise everything that's snacking in the middle. We're all bubbled up. We can't go left, we can't go right, we can't go centre, we can't go backwards. Why? Acknowledge. God, these people, the management you've got there now, it's like total waste of space. You're not going to move forward, backwards, left, right, or centre. It just doesn't work anymore. You want volunteers, you want staff, you want everything under the silver plan. You're not going to get them all in one day. We all know that. It's just trying to line out the fine line of getting respect these days. People know things you don't. They acknowledge that the community is more aware of the mistakes you made. Right? They had to wait and let it play out. Always. Why do you think I'm acknowledging to everybody? Why do you think we are acknowledging to you? Don't advertise for volunteers because you're not going to get them because all they're asking for is saying help us, help us, but it's not going to be help us. The only way you're going to get the respect now, you're going to have to earn it, right? But to get the volunteers in play, you will not getting any because they already read whatever they've done or they know what's unfolded, they know what's going forward. They will acknowledge that the North Norfolk Railway will say, why we haven't got no volunteers, why are we screwed up, why are we all this, why are we all that. And what they will do, they'll try to counteract everything they do and they screw it up even more, and even more. I said, you start from the bottom, sort all the problems out, and if you don't acknowledge that, what I just done is sort out your mess problems, right? We acknowledge that the whole community needs a little recess from now on time. Why? It's like treating a school. If you don't treat a school correctly, the school won't come to you. Right? When people really don't acknowledge this, it makes them feel bad, it makes you feel bad, it makes everybody feel bad, and then everybody will get affected with all this. So we're all in a centre at the moment. But you're not all realising the North Norfolk Railway's fucked up. Left, right, or centre. Doesn't matter which way. They screwed themselves over. So why? The answer lies in the past, which they can't recorrect there and then. That's their bloody problem. That's who Harkett / Sydney, and then you got all the other management on top, all screwed up. So when you think you're in the right, acknowledge yourself this. Why would you put your arms and length on the line? There are a lot of people that would do anything to work on the railway, but they're not going to work on the railway that's so bent, so it's not hostile. It's people making rumours, lies, deceits, all of that. Why? And now people want people. I said, don't go there. It's just it's one problem over the other. You have to acknowledge that the North Norfolk Railway are desperate. They don't care if you have what the problem is. It's the problem is they screwed up, which they could have corrected there and then, and said, look, yeah, well, excuse me, while all those events unfolded in front of my eyes, I already knew what I had to do to play it all out. So while you lot were playing games, as they say, you're still playing games now. This is why the North Norfolk Railway is failing from the inside, not the outside. So when they ask you for your voluntary, do you want to help? Do you want to do this? Say no. The answer is a complete no. Why? If I told this correctly, I'll tell you now. I know what's unfolding up there without acknowledging to go up there. Why am I telling you not to go to the North Norfolk Railway? Let's just say 1,000 volunteers, and now they want to gain 1,000 volunteers. What will happen to you lot once you're in? You do your track safety tests, that's for sure. But the bottom line of it all, what will happen once they test your weaknesses out? They will put you in places that your back can't handle, or you can't do this and you can't do that, right? And you've been honest with them. Let's say it's not always about your honesty, right? All they care about is the money factor. The money is the factor, right? They don't give a shit about the volunteers, right? Regardless, that the employees that over there are treating you as equals and making you understand right as much as they can and acknowledge that they've got a big problem in the middle, they can't solve it because they screwed up. So acknowledge by telling the volunteers not to go there anymore is saving them. It's safeguarding them because I do not want them to go on that premises. As a communityist, right, already aware of what's going on up there, and they will not take no BS. Right? They're gonna say no. We saw this unfolded, so we won't go on you because we saw the bad reaction. We saw this happen. We saw this happen, and we know what's true from the past to the present. We can see the future as much as Stephen Top myself, Stephen Topper that the third can see, and that's what they will acknowledge because they will say, "Screw you, closed door." Why? Because they haven't got the North Norfolk Railway's lost respect. Now they're begging for mercy from everywhere else. Orsted, Olsberg West, Bluffs Cove, Timber Bay. Then you got Knapford, Crosby, Wellsworth, which is us. Then you also got Marin. Then you've got the coastal route as well. Then you've got the other routes as well, which no longer exists. But the fact is that people are trying to say you can't move forward from the problem that you had in the past because you can't. Because the reputation has been lost. We talk about reputation, right? Reputation is people's what they've gained respect over the years, etc., which I probably agree with if my grandfather was alive, he would have said that. Sir Topham Hatt the first would have said just that. But you know what? He said in the longer run, he wouldn't be happy with the North Norfolk Railway today. It's not about the descendants of our race, right? That's another thing I like to bring up. The Southern race that knows everything, and you are blind as a bat, and you going on that premises and you're acting like a complete fool. 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 And then you basically come out there because you didn't like not the place itself, but the actual people. It could be the actual the place itself, the environment, etc., and acknowledge that there's not been like acknowledged to understand. It's like saying, right, you've got to be realistic and understand there's a bigger story to this. When it unfolds, right, it does come in your mind, and I sit, and then the community will pick it up as it goes, as they go in, out, in, out, in, out, like a cycle. Without the volunteers, just employees, and they will work out the bigger mystery involved. Because there's a little piece in there that's telling you respect, trust, and honesty. Right? The reputation for that railway is gone. History. Why? It doesn't matter about 1970s or 1980s or 90s. Right? Regardless, it went through 2000s all the way to 2021 and 2019. Established that bad things do happen. Right? And we have to acknowledge that when they beg for volunteers, they crossed the line there and then. I didn't. Right, when they booted us all out in the first place, ding, 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 right, they basically left the railway vulnerable. Acknowledge there were complications in certain periods, but when they got themselves up and going, they screwed themselves over. They screwed themselves so badly over, they can't fix their own problem. Basically, they've got a bigger problem now than they did in 2019. So if we didn't all get booted out, right, and never got sworn at, you would have had a bigger bloody you would have 1,000 volunteers plus myself, and then everybody will win. Why? Because we've been respected, and that respect would have travelled a long road. Right? That respect is gone because you boot us all out. So work it out. Why are people fit to realise that? Why should I respect you when you booted this lot of people out? They will make a lame excuse just to cover their tracks, right? I'll keep clearing it out and telling them, it's been acknowledged, it's been going forward, and people are starting to notice it. People are going to notice it, regardless. And now they're begging for volunteers. Don't. It's established that it's a bad railway at this moment. They're not going to move forward because they can't move forward because they broke the system. It's like a reputation. It's like a foundation. It's like going like, how do we rebuild ourselves from 2019? What we screwed up on? I said to you guys, you screwed yourselves over. It's like saying, let it rot down to the ground. It's like telling them you may have gained this, you may have gained that, but in reality, you haven't. You lost reputation of it. The reputation is what kept the railway going, but it's gone. It's history. So the volunteers that are there will end up bailing ship because they will say in older times people had respect. Why? Our families think about surnames, think about first names, middle names, etc., and acknowledge that. Why? I've got a list of all of you that work on the Norfolk Railway right now. Doesn't matter who's going on it, already know who's going on it. So work it out. Why? Why does people know? I know that whoever's going on that railway. Why? Well, let me give you a hint. Does anybody know Why this pattern is repeating like a record, and why it's understanding, or shall I tell you exactly what's going on up there? They're asking for volunteers before the event starts in June, right? People are wondering, are they getting the respect? The answer is no. Why is the staff acting like a bunch of twats, excuse my language, and acknowledge that a lot of things unfold for a reason, right? We have to acknowledge that the railways, I did say, and I pre-warned you all, that when they all go in, they're all going to come out damaged. Why? I warned you. And now you've seen the result. People that are employed up there or employees up there may be taking on a job they don't fully understand yet. Even if they are instructed to, or do this, do that, the North Norfolk Railway will not have no more volunteers up there because the voluntary part of it is gone. The only reason I'm letting them on there is because there are other organisations in play, right? Like I said, I'm your boss. I'm always going to be their boss, right? They can't establish why. Why am I their boss? Work it. Now, this is a question that the answer could be very explainable. If you screw up my timeline, I will screw up yours. Why is my timeline important? We all think of Doctor Who, Star Trek, the Temple Prime Directive from Star Trek The Next Generation, and DS9 and Voyager. We all take that into consideration and realise, oh shit, he's talking sense, which is true, and I'm going to acknowledge a Temple Prime Directive. Now, if I already seen my future already written out like black and white, I won't tell you how it unfolds, right? But I will tell you how the North Norfolk Railway will keep its reputation. One, because they got me. Two, they will have my son. And three, my granddaughter. So now, work it down the line. But I will not tell you who the wife is. Now work it out. It's in black and white, isn't it? Well, let me put this in perspective for you, right? We're all going to have this hot, sticky moment where we're going to realise he's talked sense, he's talked a little bit of swearing, cursing, swearing off, alright? I'm going to acknowledge that because it is a very verbal understanding, principles, understanding, respect, reputation, everything else, all of this, it's all like a bit of mixture, right? When people read, right, let me explain something to you, right? I know 1,000 of you have read the Thomas the Tank books, right? Nearly 1,000 to 8 billion people have read it all from beginning to end. You saw my childhood, but then, thanks to a private connection in Australia called Wild Norwester, filled in the missing gaps, right? But it's telling you that the North Norfolk Railway has failed. If they keep harassing you on Facebook saying, oh, we need volunteers, we need this and we need that, and we want to acknowledge it, I said, don't bloody bother. It's abusement ready to go on the platform. If I was there, you won't get that abusement. You will get the respect that you need. You will be treated as an equal and respectfully. Yes, I do have my own physical problems and disabilities of my own, which I won't acknowledge. But the fact is, the truth is, I'm their boss, they listen, right? It's acknowledging that I am taking people's what you call strengths and weaknesses and put their strengths first and leave their weaknesses behind a little bit. If they're not able to do anything, and they're able to, and they got this strength, or they got this strength, and they got that strength, I will acknowledge that. Why was the railway so damn respectful and really, really good in reinforcement to a point until the diesel team showed up and fucked up everything? Right? That diesel team has got a lot bloody nerve. Right? We let it unfold and you got the bloody result, right? And then it cost nearly 1,000 volunteers and their employees telling them. Then the rumours started to go around on me, alright, which is false. And then everybody else around the community started to say how bad the railway got. Right? There was a lot more people. By doing that, they just made the North Norfolk Railway their worst enemy number one. Why? So when the railway needs help, who are they going to cry wolf to? And I'm trying to acknowledge it to you right now, here and now, right? So if they screw up my timeline, I will screw up theirs. But the problem is, there's two pieces here, ding, 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 right? The North Norfolk Railway's not going to stand on its 2 feet, is it? The North Norfolk Railway failed. Why? Now they're begging for mercy for volunteers? Ask yourself that question. Why did the community know everything beforehand and then just play unfold it the correct way to a point? Acknowledged, right? I've been told by a private connection saying it wasn't your fault. It was the diesel team's fault and they screwed up. They showed the events unfolded going forward. It's basically, I'm telling you, that where's the principles? Where's the respect? Where's the honesty? Where's the trust? Gone. Why? Because you've all been sweared at, cursed at, and everything else. Now they asking for volunteers? Ask yourself the question, and they will say no. Bad railway makes a bad reputation. Also on top. And reputation they lost. It's not my fault personally, but I know things that a lot of people don't pick up on. Right? So if you think you got your hands rattled in this, just ask yourself the biggest question. I may have principles and understanding and all of that, but in reality, this is what's happening unfoldedly. Acknowledging it, understanding the principles, understanding the respect that you want back. You're not going to get it back overnight. People are just like gone. The North Norfolk Railway's gone cuckoo because they can't put the principles and the reputation and the respect they had back. Why? When you boot out people, what goes with it? The reputation. The principles that the management have done, they abused the principles. So when you think of this as like going up, down, and down the chart, down the line, there is a lot of understanding, right? The principles is what we follow by, right? There's no way the North Norfolk Railway will ever get volunteers. They've got the employees, which is true. They are clueless of what's unfolded or what's going, right? I ain't been acknowledged, right, by a friend of mine and a connection of mine, of course, saying, look, you're the one who's in charge. You're the one that's going to make the effort here. You're the one that's going to push people forward and acknowledge everything that's unfolded. Right? I will do that. Right? As a businessman, especially when I'm the North Norfolk Railway's boss. Right? I'm telling you now, there is a reason why I was put on this earth. and acknowledge that I'm going forward. But yes, when people have ways of thinking, of understanding what's unfolded in front of your eyes, ask yourself the question: what would unfolded if the Diesel team had their way all the way through? You'd be all fucked up. Excuse my language. I know my language is a little bit uptight, but it's all adult based video, so don't worry. It's like telling you, what? You're saying this, this, and this? I said, this is what's unfolding, right? It's acknowledging to you, don't volunteer on the North Norfolk Railway. You're not going to succeed because the reputation, the respect, the trust, and the honesty all gone. Think of it like it's like it's. Think of it like this, right? When we acknowledge about what goes on up there and acknowledge what you see is what you get, obviously. When you hear things, it does help. But the Norfolk Railway, you once knew in 2015 and below. The 2016 is when the diesel team started to come on, right? Like a bullet, right? And we have to acknowledge the railway has destroyed itself. You have to realise the management can't, it's got nothing. Their hands are all tied. Why? When the management got their hands tied, then they're going to ask that big question in their heads. Why our hands are tied? Why is this? Why are we not getting no volunteers? Why we can't have no volunteers? Why can't we have volunteers? And the acknowledgement is saying, don't, I'm acknowledging to the community, don't bother going up there because you don't want to get mistreated or misguided. I'm not misguiding you. I'm just telling you what has unfolded so far. So acknowledge you got me, you had my grandfather and my father previously beforehand, then you got me, then you got my son, then my granddaughter. And then ask yourself this: how come there's a lot of angels that are ready to prepare themselves? Ask yourself a question. What do I know they don't know? Ask yourself a question. Why do I know a lot of engines? Why do you think I know them well? Respect, the honesty, the trust you're getting out of me. I know I feel like I'm really head on, but I'm telling you now, respectfully, that there are reasons why it's unfolding the way it is. Oh yeah, the Thomas. Right, a lot of people that haven't read the Thomas books. Let's take the people that haven't. Right, right. First thing they will say, this can't be. This can't be happening. I said it's happening. Ding ding. Clues are everywhere. Why? The principles of understanding this is making you self-aware. Right? You've seen my childhood. Now you're seeing my adulthood unfold. And when you look at me, you think I'm right. I'm 40 years old, but I look like a 21-year-old. Work it out, right? And then you are asking the big question on your foreheads, right? Why do you think I got this knowledge? This knowledge doesn't come out of thin air. Let me put this in perspective for you, right? My family is well known for a long, long time, and they're not even picking up on that. I said, we basically are the Hats. We are the ones that are in control and making sure the railway stays safe. The management don't have a say in this. They lost respect, trust, and honesty, and their reputation on top. Acknowledge that they screwed up. Acknowledge they can't repair the damage. They're asking for volunteers right now. Doesn't help the situation right now. Now, why do you think I know a lot of people? I'm keeping that answer to myself, but the facts are already there in black and white. But what happens if I tell you if the North Norfolk Railway screws up even more, they will end up losing everything they got? They will not just lose their website, their Facebook, Twitter, whatever. They will lose everything. They will lose everything completely. Why? That will leave everybody with a dead station, that's for sure. So dead that why? Ask yourself that question. Why would it leave all the stations dead? No volunteers, no employees, no management. What did my grandfather set in motion that would never break down? You screwed up. The look, I'm not saying this what happened descendantly is what happened in 2019 that screwed up everything. So you had everything on the plate. You didn't have to boot us all out, number one, which I am making a fair comment on, right? You had the right employees at the right time. We all stood up for each other. Doesn't matter if you're thick or thin, right? Then the diesel management all fucked up, and now you're stuck in the middle, and now you're asking for volunteers. I said the new management is a new screw up. Basically, it's a new screw up. People that they think they are clever enough to put this, and this. I said, don't push it, because whatever happening is up there will completely unfold, and it will screw everyone up, big time. It's not a game. It's not a race. This is not about winning or losing. It's not about money all the time. It's not about the volunteers anymore. It's what people need in general. It's not a want. People expect it to be in bloody want. Well, we know from a perspective it's a need for people, yes. We understand it's not always a complete want. But the messed up is smack in the middle. Why? I'm giving you a vital clue why they won't go there, why they won't volunteer there, why they won't go on there for obvious reasons. I acknowledge to you set in separate podcasts. Prices is another one. Why do you think I know everything? I don't need to get told all the time. I don't. All I have to do is acknowledge and make sure that you all understand this is not. When people read the Thomas Tank books, they're looking at all my family's life. My adult side of my life is still continuing, right? And a lot of people say, what? He's a fat controller? Yes, I bloody damn am. In any angle. And acknowledge I'm a Southern, not a bloody British, not just British, but it's acknowledging to you, right? There are a big reason. Why has a Southern come back after 30 years? I came onto the platform in 2001, which starts off the actual starting point, but near enough. But I was 5 years old when I was on the North Norfolk Railway premises. But who was in charge? Charles Topham Hatt II, my father. He's totally forgotten who he is right now, but he's keeping it to himself. So now you've got Stephen Topham Hatt III, ding ding ding, born at the right time on October the 10th, 1983, but became the Fat Controller in 1984. Now work it out. It's going forward the way it should. And now the North Norfolk Railway screwed up. Rick's family members actually safeguarded me. Right, there's quite a few of them actually. A lot of them. And do you know why? They all Southern based. Bloodliners. But so my Hatt family. Why? The Hatts, yep, exactly. They are basically Southern, but we can also speak this language that no one else couldn't speak. The Southern language, which is like Thomas the Tank language. So acknowledge, oh shit, we have eyes and ears everywhere. Sometimes you think you got away with it in an instant, and acknowledge that they all screwed up. The North Norfolk Railway screwed up as a whole. We could talk about this for a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Doesn't matter as long as it makes you realise how blunt that the community don't realise how realistic it is. They're not laughing. They are with me till the end. They're basically saying, look, we believe you. We understand you. Am I going to get an apology? The answer is no, because the North Norfolk Railway fucked up. So, when they booted me out, right, I'm now, I'm now going to say this correctly, because I am not in the wrong for this. When the North Norfolk Railway booted us all out, they screwed up there and then. So listen to Duck's story, because that's true. But there's somebody else that isn't here that should have backed me up 100%. But she's no longer alive. And if you're asking about who this person is, I'm not going to be classifying the details out directly. You will find it under Rosie's true story. And which is another one that I can add him back in the true list. But the fact is, it's all realistic and it's unfolding in front of you. And you lot are like, uh, and you look like you're seeing me, you're hearing me, you're talking to me, you're realizing it's realistic, it's not fictional, it's all about facts. And when facts are provided to you on a silver platter, do you really want to go back to the North Norfolk Railway? Ask yourself. You have the North, you have the North Valley Way, New Valley Railway that needs your support. They're asking for £300,000, right? Help them out. Leave the North Norfolk Railway to me because I will personally deal with them. They don't deserve the respect at the moment. So when you've got the New Valley Railway line that needs your support and they need your help, they're asking that in genuine. That's a genuine support. The North Norfolk Railway just abused their system to say, oh, we want volunteers, we want volunteers. I said, no, they won't. Why? That's the principle of understanding. Why? Why wouldn't go back to the North Norfolk Railway? The answer's already simplified for you. I've cut the BS out and got you straight to the point. Right? Start listening to me because it's all facts and logical truth. There's the boundary where they cross. Right? We already knew from the start. You know, the North Norfolk Railway is not going to gain anything now because they lost the respect. They lost the understanding, the principle. They lost what they gained, what they lost. They don't know that why we always come back fighting because we don't often fight. Don't get me wrong. We don't. A lot of people said, look, there are people out there that would do anything for what it is, right? Then the end of the day, you're gonna end up with a lot of facts and truth and the logic of it, and understanding that there's more to the story than what you expected. Of course, it's a surprise for everybody else, but the principle for that was to make you realise it's realistic. Why do I say this? Because I'm trying to put things right at the moment. The North Norfolk Railway are not going to get nothing. It's not because I'm not being selfish. It's making you understand. Wake up, smell of coffee, to realise they just they're just begging for volunteers, right? They have to realise the mistake they did in 2019 is what's stopping them from having them. It's like they said, once you boot us out all, like boot us all out, you lost the respect of having more coming in. So all the employees are all thick, dumb and stupid not to realise how does he know what we're coming in with? I said, do you think I'm gonna buy that? It's like it's like a product asking it's like it's like a service been asked for. I said, you're not going to gain that because you lost 1,000 volunteers to begin with. Plus, you lost me on top. So, what do they gain? You lose. You basically fucked up everything in front of you. Even Mattel did. Why? They screwed up. Natural course of the timeline. So, when the Temple Prime Directive comes into play, this is why I talk about Star Trek, because I want you to get it in your head. When you realise a Temple Prime Directive, now that could be damn used at this point, right? I want to use that as a way forward, but a way back to recorrect everything, right? Every one of us that got booted out in 2019 should have got a letter of apology from the North Norfolk Railway, which they will not give out. Why? Because the North Norfolk Railway think they're all bloody clever. They're not clever. They're a bunch of imbeciles. Stupid. Why? It's not about the people that drive the engines. I'm not complaining about the drivers, all that. But the thing is, the principle of understanding of an apology is required before they can get its volunteers. Those volunteers will look at that advertisement and say that's a. They will realise by now there's 2019. All of us got booted out. Doesn't matter who it was. I'm not mentioning no names, but the fact was that includes myself, and they took out the heart of what the railway should have been. So if they kept me in, right, I discovered myself. What's the fucking that? Excuse my language. You know, I discovered my origins. I discovered my language. I understand who my friends were, my connections are, you know, and colleagues are at the time. You lot, it feels like the North Norfolk Railway booted out everything they shouldn't. They screwed up. We have connections everywhere, all of us, except the North Norfolk Railway. Why? Because they screwed up. The principle of the Temple Prime Directive actually applies to this. Why? It's acknowledging it to make it fair for others. We put safeguards in place on top of this and make you understand everything. It feels like the North Norfolk Railway wants volunteers. They're not going to get it. I'm closing that door. Closing the door on the employees as well. Until they've done their track safety test, that's for sure. But the reality factor is People need to learn. Right? Usually, the North Norfolk Railway is run by a family friend connection. Right? All these new employees that we're getting right now, boot, 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 boot. And they're going to ask why. There has to be a family friend or connection from this from my team, myself, and all the rest of us that that right. Everyone that was booted out should have had a backup plan there and then. When we all knew there was the big problem there, right? That was brewing, right? I was rising, they were dooming. Now, what can you do? You can't hide forever, as they say. But the fact is, I'm not allowing any volunteers. Even if the North Norfolk Railway requests it, you got to realise they are in the wrong. You know they are in the wrong. Why do you bother going up there knowing they are in the wrong when they booted all of us out in the first place? You know, you can't. You want to go up there to be a new volunteer and you want to do this, you want to do that. They will test you. They will test you for your track safety test. That's normal. But the thing is, when it comes down to your strengths and weaknesses, right, the first thing I will look into is your strengths. What you're good at. What your main goals of being on that railway. Your achievement of at the end. What you're able to achieve in the goal. And this is a principle that I would. This is why I don't cross the line. Right? I establish there is a lot of why, where, and when. It doesn't matter. The thing is, people that respect people gain respect. They gain honesty. They get trust. Right? When it comes down to me or any of the former people that got booted out, they didn't deserve it. Right? They they got to a point when people worry about this in 2019. Did anybody in the railway ever thought about, right? They let it play out, which is what they've done, but did they ever? The management was very bad and they always have been bad, right? The management are now trying to ask for new volunteers. No, no, don't go up there because there's a big, big mess up there. They hadn't even thought of clearing up. They screwed it up by taking out something they shouldn't, which makes a lot of mess up, right? I get that. When the time was right for me to stand up for myself, look, in 2021, I shut the North Norfolk Railway up by telling them that they booted out their own boss. Their boss is working behind a computer right now, understanding the principles of not just with keeping my legs maintained, sitting down correctly, etc., going down the line. They basically booted out their own boss when they shouldn't done. Right? They put me in the box and they're telling me to shut up, basically. Right? They can't do that. Right? That's discrimination there and then. So, by avoiding the conflict with Devious Diesel's wife and all that, I never came back to the North Norfolk Railway to recorrect the problem. Why? So I don't end up with a conflict in the middle. Bang. Well, I saved myself. But now they want volunteers. I'm saying no, you can't. Because in the day, the reputation, the respect, the trust, and honesty is gone. Poof. It's not going to come back just like that with the instant record. And they're asking for it, and they're begging for it, and they're mercing it, and all of that. I said no. You crossed the line then. You're crossing the line now. I'm not. I've just been honest. You see, as it unfolds, everything that unfolds comes with natural. People and friends of the North Norfolk Railway, as example, probably chatting about this subject behind closed doors and acknowledge that is going to unfold eventually. And people are saying this and this and this and this. It will get round and then say, yes, Stephen Topham Hatt the third is innocent. Duck is innocent. All of us are innocent. Ding, ding, ding. But then what happens? The message gets across. Right? It's not going to happen over day and overnight, is it? To recorrect it. It had 5, 6 years to recorrect this problem, and I'm now recorrecting it. Why? Because I'm starting to come public-wise, global-wise. 8 billion people know about these problems. Right? They know I'm not thick, dumb, or stupid. They see me. 8 billion people know I'm intelligent. Right? They acknowledge that I was thrown out of the North Norfolk Railway for no reason. It's a load of BS. Going through, that's what I'm saying. I said, they won't get no more volunteers from now on until I say otherwise. Because I don't want them to be discriminated. It's not about what they do. It's what the previous team did do. And now I am really angry and frustrated to put this right. I said I have a purpose and a game and the respect. The thing is, the respect has to be earned. It's reversed. So to gain that respect on me, you're going to have to earn it. And understand, I'm not blaming the whole community for this. This is something that the North Norfolk Railway is wanting to get, like saying, we want the volunteers, we want volunteers. They're going to have to earn it. They can't advertise it, not on Facebook, not on YouTube, not on Google, not on everything or anywhere. Not even in the forum in Norwich. Right? That's a prime example why they beg for mercy for it. And they don't even really care about people that got booted out. They don't even apologise. That's how stupid they are. And you letting them sit there and get away with it? Ask yourself a question. The answer's already there in front of your face, isn't it? Why are they not getting no more volunteers? Because the former volunteers and staff never got apology or anything or acknowledgement that what has happened it should not happen or whatever. Then all the management don't give a shit. I said when they booted me out, they should not booted me out at all because I just lost the day out of Thomas. That's why the day out of Thomas has never won at the North Norfolk Railway. But the thing is, because I'm the real McCoy, you got the real fat controller saying, yeah, you can have the day out of Thomas, but I'm going to be there. Why? Because I'm the real McCoy. Right? And you can't dispute that because even if you did your homework, it's going to result with something that you're not going to see. But the thing is, in the end, what do you think in the whole universe of this, or the whole problem of this? Why do you think that Norfolk Railway has got a bad reputation? The principles are there. The principles of understanding, respect, and honesty, trust, and all of it. Right? Gone out the window. Bye bye. Right? At this moment, you got people that don't know jack shit. Excuse my language, but it's the principle of understanding where it's coming from, the logic of it, and how far are they pushing it. People that hear the truth from my mouth, right? They finding it hard to believe it because they finding it hard to put the pieces together. Little pieces come in time. Big pieces are like the most of the majority. How did he do it? How did he recollect this? How did you know that? How did you know that? How did you know that? And it's gonna go. Their brains are all fuzzed up, right? And they ask him the biggest question: how did he work it all out? Well, I have to acknowledge, like I said, my grandfather was a clever man. So is my father, and so is me. Why? Three times plus senior. That came before my grandfather. So work it out. Senior means his grandfather. So work it out. Going forward, forward, forward. The timeline was playing forward in the way it should, and acknowledge that. Yeah, right. And then people are starting to ask the big question. You're not going to achieve to repair this damage without realizing three big engines like Gordon, Henry, and James were pissed off at one point. Solve that problem. That's acknowledging it. And then you've got basically people saying, right, we got this, we got that, we got that, bang, bang, bang. They're all trying to rebuild the North Norfolk Railway back from the bottom up, right? They can't. They have to, what they're going to do? Bring in the old gang back in to get the new gang in because you have to have that reputation restored. The reputation, the volunteers, if you bring them in, new ones coming in, and they don't even realise they're getting themselves in the same situation as we have, and they will get booted out, bang, 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 and they will end up with stage two. Why? Why does it come back to the middle? Why? Why am I telling you this now? We all got booted out in 2019. The new generation are trying to come in, obviously, acknowledging it, and they don't even realise what they got themselves in for. They've been warned once, not just once, but twice. If they get told three times, there's going to be a little bit of, like a little warning card saying, look, the thing is trying to establish why the Norfolk Railway won't take responsibility. They don't care. All they care about is money. When people like myself, well, I let myself like myself, will understand that there is principles on this every occasion. We keep establishing ourselves like we need to sort this out, sort this out, sort this out. Then you've got 1,000 volunteers that are and employees as well saying how bad the railway was and all acknowledgement and it goes back in the middle and the new ones are trying to come in. They can't because they've been told to stay out and the North Norfolk Railway's advertisement ding 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 ding. What is happening? You've got stage one, stage two and stage three. Where is the biggest mess that can't be corrected and the North Norfolk Railway can't go forward? Why? Just ask yourself. The date is correct for this, time and all. Acknowledge it. Why is the North Norfolk Railway so forbidden to go forward? If I was up there, I would recorrect the problem respectfully, trustworthy, and trust, honesty, and respect. Right? I am more pissed off with the management. Right? I want to boot them out before they start getting the volunteers in. Boot them out completely. Boot out who whatever's behind their backs, right? Because in the day, the North Norfolk Railway has the principles to understand what has to go forward and what goes back. It acknowledge the back problem before they can go forward. So while they're stuck in the middle with me, they can't do nothing because they screwed up. You know, when a problem has been screwed up or not acknowledging it or not putting it correctly or forward or backwards, they don't realise how screwed up they are. They don't give a damn anymore. They just think, look, people that got hurt or booted out have to be apologised, blah blah blah. It's like 5 years they had a chance, 5 to 6 years. Right, we're in 2024 right now. Right, we acknowledge that they want volunteers. They've got the employees at the moment probably confused in their minds, don't even realise what the hell's going on, and acknowledge that they've got the one big screw up problem, and they want them to come in. I said no. Why, why am I telling them now, not before? The timing has to be right for everything. So when I established that my son and my granddaughter, the last two to go down to be the North Norfolk Railway bosses, if you will, we're establishing that, look, Emily Helen Hatt is already not in play yet, but she will be. She will end up saying, look, you do not know what you're bloody messing with. Right? The North Norfolk Railway has no recognition whatsoever, right? So by acknowledging to the North Norfolk Railway they can't move forward at all. They're dead as a doormat. The management is gone. History gone. Right. We have to acknowledge that what happened in the past should never happen. Doesn't matter if you have got bad strength, if you got good strengths and they use your weaknesses against you, and that is not good. It shows you bad reputation and bad respect. Trust and honesty went out the window with it. And the new people and the people that are going on it now don't know jack bugger all. You know, when you acknowledge, if they acknowledge it now, they will realise how stupid they are. The reviews that are shown on Facebook are false. It's like the Norfolk Railway don't know what they're doing. So if you take their controlment away, you're basically making their hands tied and not making them go forward. So by acknowledging that, you're basically putting them at the end saying, no, you cannot have no volunteers on the North Norfolk Railway because you booted out 1,000. Right? It may sound harmful, but it isn't. When you break it down and realise why are the North Norfolk Railway not allowed any more volunteers or employees at this time? Why? Because they have to acknowledge what they've done before they can move forward. So they can't bring in the new cavalry, as they call it, because you've got this lot to think about. You've got 1,000 volunteers and their employees on top. They have done nothing wrong to you, nor did I. So acknowledge that. They won't acknowledge that because they think business love is bullshit. I said, no, think again, North Norfolk Railway, you broke the rules. You broke the law. You broke the Temple Prime Directive. You broke everything that's supposed to unfold naturally. So what did you do? You screwed up. Screwed up. So when I say you're not allowed any more volunteers, closed door. So when we are trying to move forward, it's like acknowledging them to a fact. When you have two balls in your court, right? It doesn't matter how many times I do this. It's acknowledging that there's a lot of fuck ups with the North Norfolk Railway, excuse my French, and it's not none of our fault. The, what happened in that time, right, is acknowledging that what is false and what is true. The truth is right in front of you. You just got to acknowledge not to go on that railway. When if you go on that railway, you're not moving forward because if you go on the railway, you're not moving forward. You're basically holding everyone back, pulling them back. Right? It right. The management has got to go. Bad. Gone. History. Why? Because the management will just kill the North Norfolk Railway for what it is. It will kill it off, and then the big problem will end up being there because it's a bad baggage. Right? So they're asking for support. I need to understand how they're going to move forward without an apology to us all. You know, they're not gonna apologise to us at the moment because they fucked up in the middle. So when you think of that middle piece, right, it's like a peg's turner, but it isn't. What I'm doing is reversing the damage. So you basically got this point in time where it's reversing and it can't because the North Norfolk Railway is trying to shove, and really like pushing it. And I'm saying, no, you're not, because as long as this message gets out and spread the word. Tell Norfolk Railway it's off limits. Because once that's done, that stops them from having their volunteers because that makes a bad management, makes a bad railway. It's always been established in my other podcasts when I say it. I establishing it to you. The bad management makes a bad railway. It's always has been. And that they don't acknowledge what has happened before and not got apology or sorry. No. The diesel team screwed up. The diesel team screwed up. So when they screwed that up, they screwed the middle piece up as well. So as long as that's moving forward, we're going to have that baggage there waiting for us to clear up. So when you try to fix it, you can't fix it because the bad reputation or the good reputation is gone. Poof. So all these new reviews that are coming in saying, oh, this is a good railway, this is a good railway, it's a load of bullshit because there's no proof. So when there's evidence saying it, like written material saying it, they have to show it to prove it. Eyes and ears are the key here. So when you got the North Norfolk Railway or the North Western Railway needs backing up and supporting up and saying, look, no, you're not getting any volunteers. You got to sort this problem out first because that's number one priority. So when the North Norfolk Railway starts to realise it's their mess, they clear it up. I can't always clear it up for them. So by acknowledging what they've seen as what they're getting, it's like saying the principles on this any other day. It's not just about the trust, honesty, and respect. It's about the reputation and the reputation of those people or the individuals, even myself, and acknowledge that, look, you screwed up, we didn't. We are innocent. Just listen to Duck's story because that tells you the full back anyway. So when you establish that the truth is out, you are out. Basically, if you stay in that premises, then you're asking for trouble. So the volunteers that are trying to go on to the premises now, the new ones that are trying to sign up and everything else, they will end up getting mistreated in the end. So I am trying to turn it over and reverse it and then we correct the problem and go forward slowly. I'm not there to harm anyone or disrespect anyone. It's acknowledge you got a problem Recorrect that problem first before you can move forward. Because if you keep going on that premises like a bullet, you're basically fueling up problems, right? You're basically adding until it will explode in your face. There's always the will and the way to solve problems here. But you got to solve that big problem first because you got 1,000 volunteers plus the employees that got mistreated, misguided, and discriminated, and everything. That's plus discrimination. So if you really work it out, the diesel team has left you smacked in the middle with a Norfolk where they can't go forward either. So it's not just me, it's them as well. So the bad management gets a bad railway. So what happens? So if it did continue where it left off, they try to pursue it further forward, leaving that baggage behind and ending up screwing up everything else up. So when I said stop what you're doing and go back and repair that before you could go forward, because at the end of the day, the more you scrub it under the carpet, the more I will clear it up. It's like I said, I love my cleaning job quite well, but I am their boss after all because I've been trained in a certain way where I acknowledge what's in front of my eyes and ears and then apply it. Because in the day it's what's unfolding as the future goes forward. You, in the day, the North Norfolk Railway has got to stop advertising themselves and say we want volunteers, or we need volunteers. More like they shouldn't say want, but they should really say needing more than that. But they're not going to get any because the volunteers that were booted out, there's 1,000 of them, so the 1,000 of them tell everybody else, and you are out. So then even the employees are saying the same message and apply the same memo. Why? Because the North Norfolk Railway can't go forward no more because they screwed up. So a bad management makes a bad railway. I just hope that is actually acknowledging to you why the principles are being put at the foundation as well as the middle and the end. So when you think about it, you're screwing up everything. So you're asking for volunteers. That's what the North Norfolk Railway is asking for. They're not going to get them because they already lost. So when you think about people's reputations and all of that, ask yourself a question. What happens if the North Norfolk Railways get shut down? Nothing can't repair the damage, number one, because they will not repair the damage. Two, in all eyesight, they're not going to see what has happened before can't be repaired. So I'm reversing it and repairing it. So by undamaging it, I said they were innocent plus myself. So when you look in the middle, they will look at your letters and all your BS comments, if you like to call it correctly, and BS to the whatever next, and realise, oh crud, he's right. These people, including himself, is innocent all the way through. And it will just make it one big clear up because you're clearing up the diesel team's mess. So work it out. So if you want to go forward, you have to repair that damage before you can go forward. I said you have to clear my name, you got to clear their name. It's all in one bucket. You can't. It's like punching holes, but you're filling them in to fill in the gaps and fill in the clearance and all that. To say, look, if anyone's got respect for me, indefinitely, right, to know my family and everything else, why our family's name was on the reputation line because we are like just like the North Norfolk Railway, but we're not. We are one hell of a bloody gifted family. Hell of a gifted family. And did we get apology from the North Norfolk Railway? No. Did we just get insulted? Yes. Basically, from that date, from that year, 2019, North Norfolk Railway screwed up big time. So when they threw me out and threw out the 1,000 volunteers and the employees, what did you get at the end? Nothing. But everyone that's going on to that platform, I know about. So if you think you got it all wrapped up in a dicky bow and say we won't clear up that mess, that's not our mess. Unfortunately, it is their mess. So the North Norfolk Railway is going to end up clearing that mess up by recorrecting their mistake. If they don't, then I will recognise it. The respect, trust, and honesty they want back, they're going to have to earn it. It's not just the reputation. The name is now classified dead. Why? Because you do not disrespect people off the line. You don't swear at them, you don't curse at them, and you don't discriminate them. No. Abusing the system. I probably know a lot about it because I know what I'm looking for in the sign. Right? It's in the eyes, it's in the ears, and all of that. We have to acknowledge what we see is what we get, yes. But it's unfolding correctly, yes. We, people know things, and I know a lot of things, don't get me wrong. But by knowing what's unfolded up there, you're acknowledging, right, it must have been playing out correctly, yes, to a point. And then you're ending up with one solution. Why, why, why? Why would you put the North Norfolk Railway back into action with the volunteers when the volunteers are not allowed to go on there? Well, they're allowed, but they had to do an application form, the track safety test, and then they're ending up with one big problem saying, you disrespected the 1,000 volunteers, we're not going to work for you because you're a bunch of, it's a word of saying, a bunch of hypocrites. And because they treated us with disrespect, right, we are angry, we are frustrated, and we're pissed off. It's a word to express it. And acknowledge that they got that problem before they can move forward. They could actually said, look, this that problem should have been solved within the 5 year gap. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? It's acknowledging that what people learn from me now, they're gonna get the truth out of me, like inside and out. They're not gonna be pissed off like Jick Jack Joe. They're gonna realise everything is unfolding correctly, the way it should have been unfolded in the first place. But it's just got this little bit of middle pace that's going like flip flap, flip flap, flip flap, flip flap, flip flap, waiting to go forward. Let me put this in perspective for a lot of Thomas the Tank fans out there. They will know what should be unfolding correctly right now. Right? People are gonna wake up and smell that coffee. That's for starters. Right? We have to acknowledge that what you see is what you get. But at the same time, you're acknowledging the one thing that people needed the most. You booted him out, which is myself, and you tell me I won't go into detail, but I will acknowledge they gave me a letter that said a lot of things that weren't true. And that is straight down the line. It's because they've been one was been lied to, one's been the victim of, so vice versa, work it out. So what happens to the North Norfolk Railway when they want volunteers? They don't want to go on the North Norfolk Railway and work on there because they will say, no, you discriminated 1,000 volunteers. No. And the employees on top. If I did that, what the diesel team did, I would not be impressed with myself right now. It's like saying to them that they are innocent as much as I am. It's just the way the management went at the time. So if you really cared about the railway as it stands, right, you need to ask yourself a big question. What are you going to do? You have options, yes. You have to realize it's realistic. The Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends book is based on reality, not fiction. And then you're going to end up waking up and smelling coffee at the end. Why? Because I'm a continuation. So now, you see, when I was doing my homework, as they say, people start to pick up pieces, right? Little clues here and on, and they know what's unfolding and what's true and what is actually true to the very, very high degree. And they will end up saying, shit, crap, did not realize that, did not. And you all like standing there, like saying, oh, the North Norfolk Railway fucked themselves. Which is what I would say personally. But it's because they screwed up and they want to move forward with all that crap behind their backs. No, I would not done that. If I had problems, right, like the diesel team did, I would treat with every employee and volunteer with respect and honest, and I will let them continue their work on their nature's course. Why? Because I let them do what they're capable to do, not put them in some places where they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? So it gives us the head field advantage on everything, but you need to see it with your own eyes and ears before you can jump in there. It's like jumping off a cliff or jumping into it or going into it. You need to acknowledge that what's unfolding in front of you is the truth of what's unfolding, and that's the thing that's where it scares a lot of people. Understanding the principles, the facts, the truth, the logic, all of it's there. All you have to do is do not follow the North Norfolk Railway PLC channel because in the day, even if you like it with 19,000k followers and 17k likes, half half of it is like saying they're begging for mercy because they don't realise what they lost and they're ending up not gaining nothing because the trust is gone, the honesty is gone, and the respect is gone. So when you ask to Mattel, is Thomas the Tank based on reality? They will do eventually. That's why there's no books or DVDs as such in Norfolk because it's reality. So reality, you're gonna end up saying, okay, the North Norfolk Railway is off limits because you're not gaining nothing. So when you look at people today, just ask yourself a question. When it comes to June and you've been asked to volunteer or you want a volunteers application form and when they say get involved or whatever, don't. Don't light the flame where I could extinguish it. Because every time you do something, I know what's unfolding. It's the truth of understanding what the North Norfolk Railway is doing wrong and why they put themselves in a lot of big problem like that. It's not discriminating people to go forward, but you have to solve the problem that was caused in 2019 that makes that problem that's to make the problem even worse because there's a bubble in the middle what the North Norfolk Railway can't go forward. They have to go back to reverse it and re-correct the problem. And I just said, look, 1,000 volunteers could have been spared, even the employees, with their pride and dignity all extinguished, except mine. Why? Because I rised immediately after I got booted. So the day I rised, said so does Steam, and that's no lie. So if you really, if the North Norfolk Railway wants to bring in more volunteers, they will find stilt, nothing, zero. Why? Because they lost. Because they can't see the bigger picture, what needs recorrecting, fixed, and acknowledge that the ban. Why? I acknowledge that the North Norfolk Railway is an unbanning process. Why? Because there's an unbanned system, right? The North Norfolk Railway tells you you're banned because you did this or that or whatever, and they didn't tell you a certain amount of years, and they tell you you're banned for this and that and that. When they say that, it's a load of BS. Number one. Number two, they screw it. They screw the system over, which they did. And three, they've been discriminative and everything else. So when there's 1,000 volunteers and employees on top, I would never, never do that. I'll always be trustworthy with you. I'll be kind to you. I'll be honest with you, and respectful with you. To get the problem sorted, delicate, very any problem that comes to me, I will be kind, trustworthy, and respectful with you, and get the problem sorted quickly as possible, and let you get back to your job. That your job that you are good at, not what you're not good at. Put your strengths first, not your weaknesses. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to push to shove it, the North Norfolk Railway can't do nothing now. That name is dead. So when the North Norfolk Railway decides to pull stunt or any more stunts, I'll be watching. Because the discrimination that was done in 2019 should never happen, should not happen at all. It's just a bad management makes a bad railway. So now the North Norfolk Railway is asking for volunteers. They will not listen because they think they're always in the right. And I said, no, they're not. It's that position where you have to say it's time to let the North Norfolk Railway go. It's saying goodbye to it. Goodbye to to the name itself. Say goodbye to the voluntary service. Say goodbye to the employment service or employees. All the employees should come out before they get burnt. Why? Because I do not like discrimination. However, the way we got treated is way the North Norfolk Railway runs it. Why? I'm not running it. I am the boss, yes, but I don't like discrimination. So I'm re-inviting everyone back in and knocking out all the people in the management team to say you're lifted, you're out. Because they are being discriminative. They don't care about the 40,000 of us or the volunteers, the employees of who they booted out in 2019 and don't even realise that was the baggage that they were carrying all the time and they don't even give a damn. And now they're asking for new volunteers. It's not going to work this time because bad the bad management makes bad railway. It's always had been and it always will be. But it's not my fault because I got booted out as well. So I'm part of the thousands and the employees. I'm their boss, not the other way round. So the North Norfolk Railway's lost everything. And they lost something precious as gold now because they lost something bigger. And they can't even work it up in their own heads because it's all, to them, they see that If it was on their heads right now, they will work it out sooner or later, and they will end up feeling sorry for all of us that got booted out. Why? Because I want them to feel guilty, because they're guilty as charged. Right? So they can't have no more volunteers or no more employees. Why? They can have the employees run the system. That's not the problem. It's the volunteers that I want to allow. Why? Safeguarding them from being hurt. Safeguarding them to say, no, you can't go on that railway. Go on any other railway besides that one. Why? Because with the thousand that got discriminated, being rude at, and everything else, everybody, every one of us stood up for each other like a team of heroes, if you want to call it. The hero of the rails was me. Ding ding. I told them to back off, right, which is true. But then after I left the premises, then the cannonball hit them backwards and told them, bing bing, fire. And what happened when I fired it in 2021? I revealed myself because they didn't know what was unfolding. So when they realised what they lost, then they still lost now because they don't realise 1,000 volunteers and the employees at the time who live probably in their 60s, 70s or 80s right now, and plus their 40s, my add, they will start to wake up and smell the coffee and realise the North Norfolk Railway rule, and they will end up saying shit, 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 and then they will ask questions, right? Because they think they're so high and mighty that they don't even give a shit to walk on the platform themselves to realise what is unfolding. They don't give a shit as long as the money's coming through. They don't give a shit until something bad happens. Oh, can you see where my logical point is? It's like saying there is the reason why the North Norfolk Railway is not allowed volunteers today. Because they must not and they will not have. Because I'm safeguarding them for being, you know, safeguarding them so so the younger generation do not get hurt, right? The older generation should have been more respectful in every angle, and it's not been discriminative. It's been safeguarding. The adults and the children are safeguarded. So when you got the Norfolk Railway being a bunch of imbeciles and not realise the management is the cause, right? Boot the management out and then start getting apologies on the go. Apologies are the next one on the line. Why? If they don't apologise by June, as example, they will lose more than their money's worth. They will lose money because the reputation's going to drop and it will hit them like 1,000 knives and they're going to realize, why is he doing that? Well, I know things that you don't see happening. And then people will lose interest of the North Norfolk Railway for what it is, where it stands, with a 5 mile trip, and then they don't even think. And they don't even want to know. Well, what will happen is they will lose their money and they will lose everything. Because the employees will lose interest, because they will work out the volunteers have been safeguarded by me. They won't be going on to that railway. I will tell them now they cannot go on that railway. Right? They're going to be realising what happened in 2019. It's in Duck Stories. So be listen to that and you'll see why we don't want you on there. And then the respect will have to be earned the hard way round. It's not going to be over day or overnight. People are reviewing everything you're doing. They are checking every website you got, every page you got. I am watching, eyes and ears everywhere. So when you think you're just taking snapshots of people in carriages and trains and all of that, just remember that I am watching, and the only thing that you will lose is money and respect and trust and honesty. And you're asking people to get involved, they will never get involved because I'll just put a safeguard in place. So when you realise that the volunteer situation and all of that, people won't go back on there because in the day you basically killed the railway off. I didn't do nothing wrong, nor did my volunteers and employees. So they all safeguarded. So while you lot are all screwing it up, just realise what is round the corner that's going to screw you right over. Because you may find out you could be screwing it up even more than what it is. I've already seen it unfold the way it is, but it's not going to help you again because it's already set in motion. People are going to complain. People are going to start moaning. And once you get the moaning Lisa job, I said, yeah, I've been watching you with eyes and ears around the globe. So when you think you really think you understand everything, the whole thing was shown in front of you. It's the images, the text they added. People saying, "Oh, it was lovely last year." I said, "No, it wasn't," because when you add up everything you do and equals how much they're asking for at the end of the day, right? Even the DMU they built, that was a waste of money and space and time. And then ending up thinking, oh, they got this and they got that. And I said, no, they haven't, because I know what's going about to unfold before you know it. And that's the reason why I said, be careful for what you wish for, because you might just get it. You know, it's basically saying like that, but with a kind way of saying it. But with all the volunteers and the employees that were booted out, they want blame, including myself. We all want an apology, and I'm going to put the unbanning system in place to stop people from being banned, because simple problems can be solved in the office, not in front of the public. And that's what killed the Norfolk Railway, because they got mistreated in front of public. Thank you very much. Oh, it's damn true.